Muhammad was not only the religious leader of the Muslims, but also their social and political leader. According to Islamic doctrine, he was a prophet divinely inspired to preach and confirm the teachings of previous prophets. Muhammad is believed to be the last of the prophets within Islam, and he is a role model for all Muslims and achieved a lot during his lifetime. Hey, what's happening, guys? Welcome back to another episode here on FTD Facts. Leroy Kenton here, sharing some information with you. In this episode, we're going to be looking at the 10 greatest achievements of the Prophet Muhammad. So stick around from 10 all the way to number 1. Starting off with number 10, change the Arab society. Before Muhammad's prophethood, meaning when he became an official prophet, Arabia was a land without government. They had low cultural and civilizational standards, and when Muhammad began to preach, well, his audience was taken aback by his eloquence, and it caused them to rise up to a higher standard of living. Even his worst enemies, they were afraid to listen to him for the fear that they may be penetrated by his words and actually be caused to abandon their traditions and cultures. Coming in the number 9 spot, Prophet Muhammad, he spoke up for human rights. Muhammad witnessed injustice in the Arab society. There was a lot of exploitation of the weak and oppression going on. He advocated for everyone's freedom, equality, as well as justice. Assist everyone who is oppressed, whether Muslim or not. That's according to his words. He made formal agreements promising full protections to people that follow Christianity, to people that follow Judaism, and according to the contract, they have support and the same equal rights as any of us. His dedication to justice was such that the Jews of Medina asked Muhammad to handle their cases, which he did by Jewish law. Next up, the ending of slavery. So slavery was practiced by many societies throughout history, including Muslim societies. The Prophet Muhammad himself, he bought, sold, and captured and owned slaves himself. But his teachings changed the concept of slavery. He taught that slaves should be regarded as human beings with dignity and rights, not just as property, and that freeing slaves was actually an honorable thing to do. This may have helped to create a culture in which slaves became much more assimilated into the community than they were over in Western society. The next achievement of Muhammad was combating racism. Racism was very normal and prominent in Arab society, and one of the major people who suffered from it was Bilal. Muhammad preached to the society that no one is inferior to another person based on their color, creed, or race. In his final sermon, the Prophet Muhammad said this, and I quote, "There is no superiority for an Arab over a non-Arab, nor for a non-Arab over an Arab. Neither is the white superior over the black, nor the black superior over the white, except by piety." Number 6 brings us the Battle of Badr. Muhammad was not only a religious leader, but also a military leader for the Muslims. He fought along with soldiers in battles and won many times. One of them was the Battle of Badr. In Islamic history, the Battle of Badr was in 624 CE, and it was a major military victory led by the Prophet Muhammad that marked a turning point for the early Muslim community known as the Ummah, from a defensive stance to one of stability and expansion. The battle harmed Meccan trade while boosting the Ummah's morale as a viable force in its pursuit of control of the city. The achievement of Muhammad coming in at the number 5 spot is the Battle of KHAYBAR. Muhammad led the Battle of KHAYBAR. Muslim troops, they marched on KHAYBAR and they engaged the Jews who had barricaded themselves in forts after breaking an agreement with the Muslims. However, the battle ended with the surrender of the KHAYBAR Jews, but they were allowed by Muhammad to actually live in the region and would give half of their production to the Muslims. This episode couldn't be complete without the mention of the conquest of Mecca. The capture of Mecca by Muslims led by the Islamic Prophet Muhammad is known as the Conquest of Mecca. The conquest ended the wars between Muhammad's followers and the Quraysh tribe. After the conquest, Muhammad along with his companions visited the Kaaba and they broke the idols of Hindus and they recited this. Say, the truth has come and falsehood has gone. Verily falsehood is bound to vanish. And that is found in the Quran, Surah 17, verses 81. Muhammad also made great achievements when it came to female empowerment. Unlike the social norms of the time, Muslim women played important roles during the Prophet Muhammad's reign. Even his wife Aisha was a scholar who was frequently consulted on religious matters by other companions, and she freely expressed herself in public. She even praised the women of Ansar for not allowing their shyness to prevent them from learning about Islam and asking questions. Muhammad was also successful in his marital life. Muhammad demonstrated the importance of two-way communication. The Prophet demonstrated that a wife has a right to express her emotions as well as her opinions. There are numerous examples in his relationship, especially with Aisha, where she was given the space to express her feelings and her own perspectives. The Prophet and Aisha, they communicated deeply using both verbal and non-verbal cues. He had always been somebody who deeply understood his wife. He took time to listen to her, and he could tell when his wife was angry because he was very aware of her verbal and non-verbal cues. Now, coming in at the number 1 spot, we have the tolerance for religions. Muhammad worked to develop a tolerance for other religions among Muslims. He showed it through his actions. When the Prophet moved to Medina, he was no longer just a religious leader. He was now a political leader of a state governed by Islamic precepts, which demanded that clear laws of governance be laid out to ensure harmony and stability in a society once torn apart by decades of war. One that must ensure the peaceful coexistence of Muslims, Jews, Christians, and polytheists. As a result, the Prophet Muhammad established a constitution of sorts, outlining the responsibilities of all parties residing in Medina and their obligations to one another and certain restrictions imposed on each. All parties were to obey what was stated in this constitution, and any violation of its provisions was considered an act of treachery. There you have it, guys. This was just a brief look at the 10 greatest achievements of the Prophet Muhammad. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and let me know down below in the comment section which of these achievements do you think was the greatest. Sound off down below. If you did enjoy this one, leave a big thumbs up. And also, if this is your first time here to the channel, I want you to subscribe and ring the bell. That way you won't miss any of our daily episodes here on FTD Facts. Until next time, guys, stay awesome, stay educated, and I'll see you soon.